Head of Growth for Europe for MoEngage, and we're really happy to be hosting this event today with our partners Adjust, that everybody will know. As a list for people to know that we have got George Natsvlishvili from Glovo, who's going to be leading it. We have Polina Bogachenkova from 8Fit, Marta Fogel from 7Mind, Nina Pollex from Babbel, Babbel, I should say. That's an easy one to say. Tim Perchey from Clark and Rossana from Compettia. So we've got a real good mix of brands, mix of verticals, mix of experiences, people having different sort of, impacts from this particular thing. So to start off just by quickly introducing MoEngage, that we help brands communicate better with their customers. And the purpose of that is to aid retention, drive engagement, help with onboarding, whatever it might be. So all of us face those same challenges. How do we find the right customers, spend a fortune on UA? And then you've got that whole thing where about 25% of apps don't get opened at all. So that's obviously one area. So how do we onboard better? We then want to take those people into regular buying customers. So what are the things that we can do to personalize the experience to make them use the apps more? And then after that, we want to start doing this clever bit of marketing, which is how do we push them up that curve, the value chain into being advocates. People's behavior will give you analysis, will give you predictive segmentation, will give you flexible segmentation, and will give you all the channels that you need to make those communication points. And that's essentially what we do. We do it for some really big clients, so people like Deutsche Telekom, but also really some small clients like some smaller agile e-commerce brands as well. I'm now going to hand to our partners from Adjust.
So my name is Alex, guys. I work for Adjust. I'm looking after our partner relations for EMEA and a couple of other regions. I'm here with Rich as well, and we're happy to co-host that event with MoEngage. I think it's a great timing to talk about the impact of the virus on everybody's business. I think it's a global issue, and it's important that we all are understanding and mindful of how other businesses might be impacted. To chat a bit about Adjust, most of you are our customers, but what we do is around historically measurement and attribution. More recently, also going into additional services such as marketing automation as well as cybersecurity. So we have different tools that are helping marketers not only for their measurement effort, but also any additional features and product that they would be interested in combining with measurement. So we're now a pretty global company with almost 500 people, and happy to chat deeper on those topics with you guys. I think we have a lot to share.
Very generously, George has agreed to chair this session, so he'll be leading it. Hand over to George and let George take this forward.
Thank you, Mike, that arranged this roundtable and this panel discussion. It's more about the sharing experience between us guys, because we are representatives of different industry, and different industry feels differently in this crisis period. Some of the industries are really peaking and spiking. Some of them are really struggling. And the main idea of this discussion is to share the experience and share the learnings, what we get during the short period of the crisis. The first question is how this situation affected your apps in general. What do you see? What is your experience working with dealing with this situation during this period?
So what we see now is obviously a demand what we would never expect. It's not about the seasonality. It's something what we never saw before in the company. And it goes over the performance marketing. It's not only amount of new users, which we're buying currently, but it's obviously also daily active users, weekly active users, everything what is going through the top. In the same time, we're totally in the very, let's say, the industry, which is obviously growing. So on one hand side, we experience the prices going down. For example, on Taboola, Outbrain, the networks, there are a lot of travel, MasterCard, whomever, people were also active. But this inventory is taken exactly by online language learning, online courses, fitness apps, nutrition, and so on. So prices actually dropped a bit, but then rising again. So for our industry, it's very competitive. On the other hand side, what is very important to us, we obviously also understand what is like the situational people are at now. We also offer a lot of free things, knowing that it might not bring us a revenue straight away. But for example, on Instagram, we have over 700,000 followers, and our teachers, we pay our teachers, so they offer basically a daily class at 5 p.m. to the whole followers, just to keep the spirit, to keep the community engaged. And yes, we understand this is a hard times for everybody, but for our industry, we are in this particular situation, we are very luxury situation, yes.
And how the new customers behave, like, you know, the before crisis and now is there any difference between behavior?
Yes, obviously, because usually we all know from subscription business, the curve, you know, the activity curve of the new customer coming into the app, being like super excited and super active in the few first days, weeks maybe, but then going down from the activity, this is what totally changed. And we see basically the logs of a user really coming to the app many times a day, every day at least, and really exercising. We know it's driven by the change of a habit. It's very interesting to be observing how it will change overall the habit, because everybody says like 21 days you need to change it. So now, as all sports studios, all gyms are closed, and we don't know when they will be open, people are really changing their behavior. But in the same time, we know nobody will install 20 different yoga apps because we all offer 1 month for free. You will stick to some of them. So it's still about the content. It's still about the quality. It's still about, you know, the offering, what you bring towards user.
Because Rossana is gaming, but gaming for apps and for employees. And I'm just curious, how is the situation there? How active they are or not?
It's the first year that I'm the marketing director over there. And at the beginning of the year, I present my marketing plan that was quite nice, a normal marketing plan. And then the virus arrived to us too. So we had so many fast meetings and we changed it a lot. So we designed ad hoc strategies for our customers because we started to receive cancellation of programs. Imagine that our clients were having live events, kickoffs. We work a lot with pharmaceuticals, so they were having their sales cycle all canceled. So we brainstorm a lot during different days, and we design specific strategies for each of our industry, for each of our clients. And to be honest, it has been amazing because we retain lots of our clients, and that's the most amazing part, is that we attract new customers. So we're receiving a lot of inbound. That is the dream realized of every marketing leader, as you can imagine. And right now our company is going really well. So to talk about a little bit the challenges that we solve, we work a lot with sales leader, marketing leader, training leaders, and our customers are companies more or less with more than 500 employees. So we are talking of medium-sized companies / enterprise. So we are helping them with meetings that are canceled, to engage people that are working from home. In the case of retail, imagine that they have lots of people in Spain, for example, they are on a special situation called ERTE. So the government is paying part of their salary, but they're still employees of the company. So how you can make sure that those employees don't feel lost, don't feel abandoned by your company, and ensure the employee engagement. So we send them through our app content, and then they play games. They play a trivia game, so they learn while they're staying at home, so they can use this learning once we are back to normality. And they can also train about safety stuff. They can train about almost everything. So for us, this period of crisis, we, let's say, took advantage of this, because now what is a gamification app for learning, that is something that is considered a plus for company, now is needed. Lots of companies are demanding this because it's really engaging for employees.
Rossana, if you talk about so because versus our industries, you are a B2B industry, yeah? So your customers are mostly like apps and organizations, where employees can be more like increasing the main idea is increasing the engagement through the games. gamification. And during this crisis, you mentioned that you gain a lot of new customers. What kind of is there any difference before and after? This crisis about the type of the customers that you acquired?
We are really strong in two sectors. One is pharmaceutical and the other one is retail. They are kind of really different industries, as you can imagine. Pharmaceutical, I think it's prefers to use Attrivity because it's a way to make, let's say, less complicated some subjects that are really hard to understand or to train about. So in the case of pharmaceutical right now, there is a big challenge that is the medical reps cannot go to visit the doctor, and they will probably not able to visit the doctors for the rest of the year, just for safety reason. I mean, the sales reps will not be able to go to an hospital to sell their own product. Or in the case of pharma, they don't talk about selling, it's just presenting because they cannot measure the sales for government laws, etc. So right now, Attrivity plays a fundamental role because, pharmaceutical needs to have those employees at home, and those sales reps need to do something. As they cannot sell their product to the medical, they can train, they can gain lots of value and about the company, about the values of the company, etc. through our app. And maybe in the future, they will be able to transmit this knowledge to the medical reps. So some of them, for example, are organizing, let's call them games, but I would prefer to call them program also for medical reps, because imagine a medical that can be trained about a disease or a drug with an app, so they don't need the face-to-face meeting. On the other side, for retail, it's a bit different because we are talking about something more funny, let's say, like collection. We are talking about sales strategies. So now is the moment to empower those employees that are staying home, that are blocked at home, in the way that when the shopping mall will be open again, when the shops will be open again, like is occurring right now in China, they start to open, they don't have to waste time with training. They can just start to work 100%. So now is the moment to empower those employees.
How can, in this situation, mobile apps helping relieve the impact of coronavirus? How they can position themselves?
How we can impact the industry is not very much. Just to give a background of how Corona's affected our performance, it's been quite stable, I suppose. We had an initial dip for 1 or 2 weeks as consumers and users didn't really know their own. I think that the switch moved from less essential things to more essential things like organizing where we're going to be staying and groceries. And I think consumer behavior was just not anywhere near normal. It seems to be stabilizing again. So we've had that effect. And now we're, I would say, back into a really quite stable state as we were before. How we support our users and potentially future users is by just educating them how they can be insured during the crisis. So as Rossana mentioned, we also in Germany, which is where we're based, by the way, in Germany we have Kurzarbeit, which is you working part-time and the government subsidizes the difference of your salary for the short term. So we give indications of how that impacts your health insurance, how that impacts all kinds of insurances that mean that if you're not full-time, conditions are different with more socialist policies. We also, educate the user on how if you're covered with your current insurance while you are in home office, because if you break your leg while you're working from your home, normally that's something that the employer would be in charge of. What does that look like in the home office? Of course, that creates potentials with our content, but as well, we're not only trying to use leverage it for that. We are actually trying to help out the greater good and have people feel secure and safe. But yeah, I don't think we can have too much of an impact. I think we're quite similar to like an N26. Business goes on and people still need insurance and bank accounts. So InsurTech and FinTech we're relatively untouched.
So in our case, our company are doing a lot of like charity. We are doing with charity organizations, UNICEF. We are helping them to deliver some products for free to older like senior people and older people, and also trying to help a medical organization. Also trying to get a pharmacy for like medicine and medical stuff. So in this crisis, our like proposition and our NPS for these countries, especially for Spain and Italy, increased a lot, because in past we were like just a delivery service. What do you change, or what you gonna change in terms of your online marketing strategy, particularly in user acquisition?
And obviously we've also noticed a huge uptick in user activity and in user installs and in all pretty much KPIs that we track. When it comes to what has changed in our activities, online activities, I can say that a lot has changed, because we have undertaken a holistic approach to the entire user acquisition, but also CRM. So first of all, we have very quickly released a new dedicated crisis content to our users, which is completely for free. Just to tell you briefly, 7Mind is basically based on the freemium and the premium model. So we offer to our users a few courses that are completely for free, and when you install the app, you can use it and benefit already from the basics of meditation. And on this occasion, due to the COVID, we have created a dedicated crisis content to help our users unwind and like release stress and deal with the anxiety to remove it. Other than that, we have also released from premium model to freemium model course on children. So essentially, as you know, all kitas right now are closed. So obviously, I don't know if there is any parent in this group, but obviously all parents are struggling at the moment with their kids at home, and no one can go out. So children are definitely bored. So this is our also way of supporting our users to help kids maybe start meditating. Other than that, we are also having a daily live meditation on all our social media channels. So essentially, we are getting together with our users and we meditate together in the group. So in case any of you want to try, tune into any of our social media channels. Other than that, we also have a Facebook group where we engage with our users and our community, and we've also noticed a huge uptick in activity there. Like a lot of users are reaching out to ask for advice, and obviously in here we have to also mention that we've released a bunch of different CRM activities where we are informing our users on different tips on how they can release the stress and what they can do to deal with this situation, and also an overwhelming response from our users, very positive response from them. And other than that, when it comes to user acquisition, obviously, when it comes to our creatives and like assets and the copy, we are focusing right now on the stress reduction, but also we don't want to directly buy into this trend and like talk about COVID, because I think that also everyone is a bit tired of this topic and people actually want to focus on something else. So we are indirectly talking about this, but not really focusing too much on the message, because I think everyone is just really looking forward to getting back to normality. And so definitely we are registering the drop in terms of CPI and CPS. So that is a good message for us. And therefore, it's definitely cheaper to acquire users at the moment, but it also depends on which channel. But in most of the channel cases, that CPI has definitely dropped.
But apart of it, on the user acquisition, what we do, for me personally, it's totally changed from strategical approach to the tactic. You cannot predict the future now. So it's all about, okay, where do we see the demand? Where do we think our app is a fit? We shift the budgets towards the countries where we see a big demand, and which might not be in the focus for us in the beginning. We offer our programs and our app in 6 languages and actually operating globally, but we had also our focus tier countries. Now we really spread, also we are really focusing among Europe. And another thing is also, you know, as a business person, you always look into the ROI. In the current situation, you're kind of also a human who looks into, you know, the people's situation. And I think this is also the possibility for the company to really win the name, saying, you know, it's not only about the straightforward return on investment, but also building yourself a name in the industry. And this tiers to a lot of our CRM activities, which we're doing now. So our normal visuals are always basically separated in many categories. You have all demographics, you have all skin colors, you have all body shapes, and obviously exercising in home, but also outside. This part we changed. Most of our visuals now are going really into exercising in home, and also showing that most of our workouts you can really do with a chair, with a bottle of water, what you lift as a weight. So you don't really need a lot of equipment. And we shifted a lot of visuals really showing the people exercising at home, very normal, with a mat and a sofa in the background and a chair and maybe some, I don't know, you know, normal things laying around. Yeah.
We've seen our numbers increase as well. Of course, very similar situation to Polina and Marta. What we changed in our CRM was, first of all, something that I would recommend everyone to do, and it's very easy to forget. We looked at our evergreen content, at our automated flows, at the daily, weekly, whatever notifications that are going out and that are so easy to forget that they're there. But if they go out and if they say things like, hey, while you're commuting to work, why don't you, you know, do a lesson, whatever. Hey, it's so nice weather today, go to the park, or I don't know, these kind of things. And it took us a few days to remember those, but then it's like, okay, we have to change that because that is extremely tone deaf right now and insensitive. So that's the first thing that we did. We went through everything that we already had going out, and then of course we added quite some things as well that we did ad hoc. We tried to focus on a very personal, not too emotional, because yeah, we agreed it's like there's a lot of that already out there. We wanted to be very authentic in that. And to focus on really what can Babbel offer in this time. Of course, it's nice that our numbers go up, but it's also it makes us very proud that we can be sort of a distraction, hopefully a positive distraction in people's lives nowadays. So we sent a message from our CEO, which received extremely positive feedback from our user base. That's actually something that we're now planning to include in our welcome flow in general, a very personal message. Also pointing to the free options that Babbel offers. We have podcasts. We have a campaign that offers 1 month for free for students. And it started with Italy because that was the first country going into lockdown, but now it's global. And we also started offering free trial, a week of free trial for everyone who's signing up now. So these things we focused on communicating, and in general, the assumption is, of course, that now is the time to increase communication frequency, because people do potentially have more time to engage with content, also with longer content. So we increased contact frequency, but also being very mindful of engagement patterns. And if we see people not engaging, then it's also not. We also, and Marta was mentioning the kids situation. If you have kids at home, you don't have the time of your life right now, for sure. It's you're extremely busy. It's very stressful, and you don't have time to do 20 language lessons every day. Other people may have that. So this is the distinction that we need to acknowledge. Increased frequency for the segment that's more engaged and less often to the others, yeah, which we do anyway, but even more so now.
I mean, no. In terms of an engagement strategy, what I think that we were proved to ourselves that we were quite good at was basically being quite agile. from a marketing point of view, shifting budgets from I mean, as Polina mentioned, yes, we did see a small dip in some areas like Taboola and Outbrain, but yeah, Babbel and Blinkers came in and really just made it back to normal again quite quickly. So they can be thanked for that. So we went into different directions. So that remained quite consistent, but we were quite agile in going into, podcast advertising more heavily and influencer advertising more heavily where people were. I think one thing that we couldn't control was we do have quite a steady spend on offline advertising and TV advertising, which is taking a tiny bit of a hit, but not as bad as what it could be. So we couldn't be too agile there, but I think that was the positive from our engagement. There's and like I mentioned about producing content, one negative that we did see, we're an insurance, right? Our content is really not up to date. It's super evergreen content. It doesn't have to be on point or on relevant or updated very often. It's quite consistently up to date. So one weakness that we saw from us was being able to produce coronavirus content within a short term. We just weren't capable of. We didn't have that infrastructure. So that's where we'll be changing a few things, and that's, I suppose, the positive change that will come out of it. But engagement, it's hard with us. People haven't been necessarily more engaged or less engaged. I think they're still in a phase of, it's quite a big decision, insurance. It's not just about learning a new language or getting fit. It's a bit of a financial commitment as well. So although we do see a slight up increase in performance, people still don't know if they're going to lose their jobs. So they can't really invest in more insurances.
So in 1 week, we changed all the webinar strategy that we were having. And we start with one webinar that was a really good success. We had something like, I don't remember precisely, but I think it was 120 people for the English webinar, and the same only for the Spanish webinar. And we noticed that, we invited our buyer persona, of course. So I filtered the CRM. I put some filter like people that are not our client, that are belonging to this company, to this industry, that have more than 500 employees, etc. And it was amazing because the reply we had were above all from pharma and retail. So after this first webinar, we had other 2 webinars more specific, only for pharma leaders, and another one only for retail leaders, and they were a success too. In the meantime, we are a small company. We are something like 36 employees. So you can imagine the resources are scarce. We don't have lots of employees. The marketing team, we are three people plus a designer plus 2 intern guys that are amazing too. So we try to do our best, and we change a little bit the strategy of social media. For example, on LinkedIn, we are more present because we want to show that we don't stop. Before, we didn't put a lot of focus on LinkedIn. Maybe publishing something every week was fine, but now we try to publish something every day, just because we want to show that we didn't stop, that we are still working every day, and even harder, because working from home, for me, it's harder than working to the office. We don't have any kind of distraction at home. And on the other side, another communication that we are trying to do is to evolve the communication with the evolving of the situation. At the beginning, our communication was more focused on how you can engage employees that working from home, how you can organize your workforce that suddenly is at home, alone, etc. Now, I think that all of us assume this situation. We got used to working from home. It's 1 month now, at least in Spain, it's 1 month or even more now. So now we start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So it's kind of talking about a strategy for when we are back to normality. So we try to change our message. So it's not possible, I think, in the next 6-7 months to follow a strategy that is built in advance. So we need to change the strategy as the situation evolves. At the same time, we also writing blog posts because our blog, we have a decent number of followers. So our blog is based on covering pain points of different buyer persona. Right now, we have a post for market leaders, another blog post for sales leaders, and we do also write blog posts for awareness about the situation and how other companies are dealing with it. So it's more information. So in this, on a business point of view, we increase our SEO, that it's fine, but we also want to give an added value because now people have more time to read and to be informed.
What do you see? Do you lose or do you gain? Or if you lose, what do you think? How you can compensate if you gain? What do you think after crisis? What gonna happen with your LTV?
In this case, it's very important to think long term. So obviously, as a matter of fact, we've released quite a decent amount of free content to our users. So short term, we can assume that we are losing, but long term, definitely not, because right now it's all about showing the app to the users and convincing them that it's really important to incorporate this mindfulness and meditation into their daily lives. And I'm confident that long term it will have definitely positive impact on the LTV. Yeah, short term, obviously users are engaging a lot with the content that is up to date, and the crisis content is at the moment for free. But nevertheless, when it comes to general retention and also time spent in the app and like minutes of meditation daily, we definitely see an uptick, and the users are meditating longer.
In terms of our app, Glovo, it also affects our main category. It affects our food category because, as I mentioned, most of the restaurants were closed. Even our key partner for some countries were shut down, McDonald's. So our main category was struggling, but there we open a lot of opportunity to get to other categories. For instance, for grocery. Grocery is now is booming across all countries, and people are ordering online because they are scared to go to shops and get this virus with it. And for this,
we have one category essentially. We sell languages that has not changed much. The thing that has changed is we do have an all language package that is there at a higher price point, and usually not many people buy it because it's already a big ask and a big investment to commit to learning one language, like German, for instance. Just imagine you want to learn German and French and maybe also Italian or whatever at the same time. That's a very edge case scenario. But we did see that this offer is more and more successful now, actually. So we see this picking up, and people are more and more interested in that and saying, yeah, sure, why not? If any time, then now, probably. So that's the change. The change that we saw. Otherwise, our purchasing behavior is pretty stable across what we offer, but that is the change that is most interesting, probably.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have seen an organic rise in Sterbegeld, which for German speakers is funeral insurance. We have seen an organic rise in that, but apart from that, it's remained quite stable across our products. But yeah, unfortunately, we have seen a rise in more morbid insurance products, just because people are thinking a little bit more about our morality, to be honest.
I don't see a particular pattern that all of a sudden people do more yoga while they were boxing more, because the variety of offering is quite big, and the same goes also. So you purchase basically the plan in the app with exercises, trainings, but also with a meal planning. So in the end, you can also find some exercises for free, but the full category is basically under the pro account. And the beauty of it is that everything is highly customizable. So for example, if you now, so just talking about myself personally, I was going grocery shopping, like small amount, but every now and then. Now it's more like, okay, once in a week you go grocery shop and then you cook all your food through this time. with what you shop. So, and maybe ordering some burgers during the weekend to have still the spirit. But yeah, so our app is offering you such a customizable experience. So you can really say, okay, these are, let's say, 15 things what I have in my fridge. And then you have 3 meals or 4 meals and a snack out of it. So we don't see a particular pattern that people, for example, drop out of meal planning because people go less shopping. No.
So your main category are like kind of stable, yeah. So
yes,
there is no
yes.
particular changes.
No, we're launching obviously more and more content in all categories just to have this various experience on different possibilities for people to exercise at home. Yeah, but everything was anyways made for exercise at home, cooking at home, so we're quite stable.
In terms of what is your experience with that, Marta? I know that your industry is raising, but still, did you see or did you observe this kind of stuff that you, as I mentioned that, as you also mentioned that CPI a bit cheaper maybe because of that there is like a less competition because across the industry some of the companies or most of the companies were like cut the budget, marketing budget, and it gives more capacity to others, and because of that CPA became cheaper. What do you think? What is your opinion about it?
Definitely, that's one of the reasons. Also, for myself, I can tell you that I'm massively targeted by different meditation apps and different apps in the health vertical. So definitely, most companies in this space try to leverage this moment to drive user acquisition. So even for myself, being a user and also obviously being active in this space, I must admit it's becoming tiring. I think this is a perfect moment to push your product forward, but at the same time, I think this is also what I've been observing just very recently in this week. But prices are getting more expensive. So I cannot tell you whether it's really true, because it could be also just the beginning of the week. But I think this is my assumption that definitely the space is getting overwhelmed and very occupied. And I actually expect the prices to get more expensive. And this is what I've been noticing this week. So let's see whether this trend will keep going. But I think, definitely this is not the time for, travel apps or other apps or other products that are suffering from this current situation to drive user acquisition or even user engagement. So. Yeah.
What are your plans in terms of not only strategy, but maybe the people or teams wise or whatever inside your team?
8feet is a small company. We are 40 people, and from the company perspective, working from home as an unlimited resource was always offered. So I would say yes, this is a change, but it's not like it's a huge change, and we need to adapt first to working from home. I think everybody was well prepared.
So for my team, what we are doing, how I organize my team, we have a brief call every morning that is 30 minutes where we talk about what we accomplished the day before, what we're going to do the same day, the same day. And also we talk about general things.
So we've also been working from home now for, I think, 4 weeks, 16th of March, I think. First, it was a trial week to see how it works, but then it went right into the lockdown. So then, and we already left the office knowing that it will probably take weeks, if not months, to come back. But everything worked really well from the beginning. We even went through the whole Q2 OKR setting process with the entire company and cross-functional teams and so on and so forth. So that was probably the biggest challenge that could be in this situation. So also that went pretty well. And in terms of keeping up the team morale, we also have daily check-ins in the morning just to see how everyone's doing. What everyone has on their plate, and to have also the chance to ask questions, because you can't just talk to your neighbor who's sitting next to you to ask a question. And we try to also every once in a while have happy events like lunches together. Here
we have our daily team leads meeting where we talk about the daily business, the blockers, and so on. So this is a place for us to see us all together. But obviously a bunch of also virtual hangouts and so on. So all the meetings are happening right now out there. Other than that, we have a weekly meeting with the entire team, more than 40 people as well. So doesn't sound like it's many people, but when you have to go one by one and check in, then it takes a bit of a time. And other than that, we also had actually last week our first remote team event, which was also actually amazing. We did a quiz, and so we sent out a bunch of pictures from our home, how we work, like a different pictures from our current setup. And then we were doing the quiz. So yeah, really looking forward to getting the prize.
Nice.
Yeah. But we're definitely I would say that we are not too affected when it comes to the work, but I know that also some team members maybe are a little bit overwhelmed because obviously due to the entire strategy and activities we've rolled out, there is a higher demand than usual on dev and design resources. So I know that some team members are definitely doing over hours. But I guess
I'm out of questions, and I want to thank you so much, guys. And it was really a pleasure to meet with you. Unfortunately, I think in past I didn't meet anyone from you, and I was surprised. Usually, at least like 80% I know, especially from Berlin society. But I'm very happy that I have a pleasure to talk to you even through Skype or whatever, and probably I hope after this crisis we will meet in person in one of the conferences and share the experience. Thank you so much,
George. Thanks very much for sharing this. It's definitely been a really interesting conversation. There'll be some really good insights there about not only how different categories are behaving, but also the kind of different strategies that people use. And what's really been clear is that the human side of this is really important in terms of maintaining the contact, thinking about your tone of voice, and thinking about how you can help rather than just purely the normal commercial concerns that drive our normal everyday thinking. So it's been really useful. Also want to thank Adjust for their support in with this.
Cheers, guys. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Stay
you.
safe.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Take care.